Hello everybody, I'm Verbena, and I actually get really motivated to speak when somebody pisses me off, and that hasn't happened here, so I had to think about what I wanted to talk about. And the word that kept coming up is on this sign is solidarity, and it's good that people in the U.S., especially a lot of white people in the U.S., are learning what that word means, because it's a known word throughout the world. Solidarity, solidaridad, all different ways people say it, but it's critical, and that's the thing that kept coming up in my head sitting here. What am I going to talk about? And people usually know that when I stand up, I'm probably going to tell them about 20 things that they should get involved in, and I'm going to do that because that is what we need to do. One of the things that wasn't mentioned that happened here during the Occupy, well, more than one, but different actions in solidarity with prisoners in long-term solitary confinement, prisoners on hunger strike, prisoners right there. We made sure that we were loud enough that people could hear us. We went around the jail several times on different days, and we need to remember people who can't be here. And solidarity necessarily means that even if you're not feeling it, or especially if you're not feeling the boot on your neck, or the keys on the prison cell, or all that pain that we hear about, the bombs falling, or living in Gaza or somewhere like that we need to be in solidarity. And the only way sometimes we can do that is to see where it's expressing itself, where we are. And something that is a really important concept that I think that I like to repeat is that all these wars and attacks that the U.S. inflicts on people all over the world and the earth, it cannot happen without the war here. We call it low-intensity war, whatever you want to call it, police brutality, state violence, economic bullshit, you know what I mean? All that stuff is the only way that all these other things can happen far away that people talk about. So you can find ways right where you are to combat it. They say we're in the belly of the beast. And that means that we need to be like, picture it, if you're in the belly, you need to be like fighting, remembering people all over and what's happening everywhere, and figuring out ways every day to rebel against that. We need to become a community in rebellion. Not just like specific individual activists, and sometimes there's this thing that happens, and sometimes we need to be a community in rebellion. So when you go to meetings, you're not really talking to the city council or the board of supervisors, you're talking to all the people that are hearing you, all the regular people, because we're the only ones that are going to do anything right. We should not expect any of these government people or corporate people to do anything right. We have to force right things to be happening. And a couple things that go on in this town that I want people to know about is we have the park office, which is People's Action for Rights and Community. It's been around for about 5 years now, I guess. We do a lot of work around supporting people who are victims of state violence and trying to resist that and inform each other about what is going on, and stay in solidarity with people who are locked up, who are brutalized by the police, who are deported or picked up or terrorized by federal agents. And it's also a place where people can learn about all kinds of things, learn about good food, learn about talking to other people, learn about the Fair Wage Act. And there's another space that's just emerged, and it's called the Rhizome Info Shop, and it's kind of on the other end of 3rd Street down that way. So there's these beautiful little autonomous spaces where we can grow our strength and build our movement. And they look ragtag and all that, but that's how it goes. Those are the people that build movements. Are poor people and people that are just doing it with everything they have. So one thing I wanted to bring up was that just maybe a couple days ago, prisoners in Pelican Bay. So these are people who are in solitary confinement for years and years, and we still have political prisoners all over the country, a lot of in Pennsylvania, but all over the country, still 40 years later. in solitary confinement, not in solitary confinement, but locked up, their whole lives stolen for their political actions. And going back anyway, Pelican Bay prisoners in solitary confinement have called for a race and a gang truce throughout all prisons. So that's a really powerful thing. They've been risking their lives, starving on hunger strikes. It's spread all over the country for justice, to get our attention. So we need to pay attention and do what we can do every day, and remember solidarity. That means even if you're not feeling it, even if your family isn't feeling it, it's still happening, and it should motivate us. And if you need to learn maybe or talk about ways, that's how we roll. You know, we always got to be talking about how we're gonna make changes and how we're gonna resist imperialism, and, you know, stay in solidarity and protect this earth, because once the earth is messed up beyond a point, then it's all, you know, that's it. Once the salmon are gone, they say here, once the salmon are gone, that's it for us. So we don't really have time to wait. We don't have time to think about it or figure out or know exactly what we want to do. We need to act and remember that word, solidarity, all the time. So I am going to tell you about specific couple things. There we go. Solidarity is still there. On Wednesday, day after tomorrow, we're having an organizing meeting right down the street at the park office. If anybody hasn't been there, it's kind of a cool place to check out. We're going to be planning the Days of Action Against Police Brutality. Those are October 22nd and 23rd. And while we were here as Occupy Eureka, we were in solidarity with Days of Action Against Police Brutality, and much of it happened here. October 22nd is the national, or you could say the International Day of Action Against Police Brutality, Repression, and the Criminalization of a Generation. So it's about the 18th year of that. So that's October 22nd. And here, we always do 2 days, because October 23rd, 2006, the Eureka Police Department shot 16-year-old Christopher Burgess. So we do 2 days. And we get real serious about it. We say no work, no school. We stay together for 2 days, and we tell this city and everybody what's going on and how we feel about it. And then we build connections with each other so we can keep doing that work on and on. So we're having a planning meeting on Wednesday at 6:30. We'll have dinner and stuff. And then on Saturday we're having a Know Your Rights workshop. Helpful in not getting further screwed or brutalized by the police. If you have to encounter them, you can teach it to your kids. You can bring your kids, you can bring your dogs, you can bring your grandmother. Everybody is starting to feel state violence. And then on the next Saturday, the 29th, there's going to be a community solidarity barbecue. And it's going to be focused a lot on people meeting each other and people talking about tenants' rights. Because we got property managers and slumlords and stuff that are running this place, and a lot of people's lives are every day affected and screwed over by those powers. So people are going to get together as a community and talk about how to assert tenants' rights with those kinds of bad landlords and property managers and stuff. So there's information over here, and of course we got the Eureka Fair Wage Act, which we think will improve lives, as well as all the things that people want to hear, the economy. All those things get better when you pay people more for their work. So try to keep in mind what solidarity means, whether that's with people who have fallen in struggle, people who are locked up, people who are still struggling, people who are victims of war right now, real bombs and that kind of occupation. So every day, let's be trying to figure out what we can do to disrupt capital, disrupt this system, stop the imperial powers from controlling everything, our minds, everything that's going on this earth. Let's get busy. Thank you.